TWM podcast.
Hello and welcome to TWM Talks. I am Matty and today we are reviewing last night's Bound for Glory courtesy of Impact Wrestling. A great night in Chicago as we... Oh wait, hold on. We'll have to stop the podcast. I need to get my phone back. Way banter. Yeah, we can review. That's a really niche joke. I hope people get that. We're going to be reviewing last night's Bound for Glory and chatting about that. But first, let's get all the admin out of the way. TWM podcast. This is a part of that. Your daily dose of wrestling content, courtesy of TWM. You can get us in all the usual places: Apple and Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Acast, TuneIn, Podbean, YouTube, and wherever else you get your pods. Please leave us a rating, review, and subscribe if you can. We are brought to you by SquaredCirclebox.com. 10% off your first order if you use the code TWM News in the checkout at SquaredCirclebox.com. Also, big thank you to Fight TV. We love the guys at Fight TV. They hooked us up and allowed us to watch Bound for Glory, and you can do exactly the same. All you got to do is go onto fight.tv, sign up there, and then you can go and get your fill of untold amount of wrestling stuff you can pay for, and stuff that is free, absolutely gratis. You can go get it on fight.tv or the Fight TV app, available again on the Google or Apple stores. I'm Matty Diller. I believe I said that at the start. I'll say it again. Hello there. Thank you for hitting the download and or stream button on this podcast. Joining me to discuss Impact Wrestling's biggest show of the year is my friend and yours, Impact Wrestling fanboy, and a person that's been on 2 pods in 2 days, workhorse tings. It's Mike Mears.
Hello. These podcasts bring me all the joy in the world, so I do them for free, for love.
Yes. And we do them because we also love Impact. Even if we do josh them, josh probably being the most accurate term there, because, of course, we could not bring up the whole All Glory stream thing from Saturday night, because that was quite funny in what happened with Josh Matthews going, sorry, I've stopped the stream, I need to take my phone back, like it's a kid at a party playing music off a speaker being like, no, I need to phone my mum, can I have my phone back, please?
I gotta check my Tinder.
Madison Rain will be pissed if he's checking his Tinder.
I thought he was a loser who'd never get a date or anything.
Well,
are you telling me Don Callis has been lying to me?
I don't know what to say to you. So I'm just going to change the subject. I don't know what to say to you. Everyone just walks away. I've heard that the All Glory show actually was quite good. I've heard positives. It was just filmed on a phone, so you had hilarity ensue. So yes, but I watched a little bit of Bound for Glory last night, watched the rest of it today, and yeah, it was a decent pay-per-view. We'll go a bit more in depth into it as we go on, but I think there's a few things to discuss before we get into the meat of the pay-per-view, so to speak. First of all, really big fan. I like the staging they had. It was different.
Yeah. I suppose that's the one good thing with Impact, because they don't run the same place all the time. We do get these slightly different staging setups. Yeah,
which was nice. And then, unfortunately, because I didn't see the pre-show, we had Big Nev on the tweets last night. Thank you very much for doing that. Thank you for everyone who got involved in the conversation on Twitter with Neville throughout Bound for Glory. I was sitting there waiting. Go on.
I was going to say, considering Big Mike was on the card, should we give Kevin Kelly a reference and call him Big Nev? Big Nev!
The big thing was, I'm sitting there waiting. When are we going to get to the fireworks factory? And then I found out, literally just as the main event happened, when I went on Twitter and I checked with Josh Matthews said, oh yeah, the Rascals and Dr. Wagner, that was on the pre-show. There was a pre-show?
Basically, are you saying that you ended up going to the cardboard box factory?
Yeah, I ended up at the cardboard box factory, where I was turned into a cardboard box of disappointment, because I do believe in the preview yesterday we said that was the match we were both most looking forward to.
Yes.
Yeah. And it wasn't on the show, it was on the pre-show. A pre-show I didn't know even happened. Apparently, I've asked, it went 6 minutes, so it's not even worth writing home about, which is a shame.
It wasn't even a match, is what we're saying.
Yeah. might as well just jump right into it. Let's get right involved and start off with the Call Your Shot Gauntlet, won by Eddie Edwards. I thought this was all right. There's some obviously big things we'll talk about in a minute. I just thought it was a shame that it was the same two people that finished off the Battle Royal.
Yeah, it was kind of pointless. It's like, well, you could have just done this on Impact.
Yeah, you didn't need to do the thing. And also, if you kind of have a bit of a memory when it comes to Impact/TNA, they always do this where the first person makes it to the end. Literally every gauntlet they do, the first person always makes it right to the end and either falls at the final hurdle or loses it or wins. So
I thought that was the way you book Rumbles.
Yeah, but
it's in the wrestling handbook.
It's number one. If you're in, literally number one. If you're in number one in a Rumble, you have to go all the way to the top. And also, if you're over £400, not one person can eliminate you. But there were some big names in this. I think the most notable one is Kylie Ray. That
was a pleasant surprise. I'm not going to call it a shock because obviously she worked the All Glory show the night before, and there were obviously the rumblings about her sort of. Because of that, it's like, oh, has she signed? Is she involved? Like, whatever going forward. So it would seem to make sense. Might make sense why another result on this card happened. But we'll get to that in a bit. It's one of those things of like Kylie Ray leaves AEW with no story behind it, and they just say, oh, it was an amicable agreement. She asked for a release, and like that raises questions. She now immediately makes her debut, quote unquote, with Impact. That just raises further questions because many assume that, oh, she must be like, if she's leaving AEW, then maybe she just wants to work on the independents. No, she's joined Impact, I'm assuming alongside independent dates. So I'm like, what has like? It's one of those things. I think we've sat there a bunch of times over beverages and food and just gone, what happened? Why do we not know what happened? It's one of wrestling's biggest unsolved mysteries at this rate. I think. Do you remember the TV series Unsolved Mysteries? You could genuinely probably do a series on this. You could almost do like a Making a Murderer on this.
What is that? When at the end of this, that's a different. I was about to say the guy from Star Trek goes, "It's a complete fabrication. It's not true."
If only. No. Dave Meltzer comes on and says that. At the end, like,
plans changed.
This was the original idea. Plans changed.
The other person he made a return is Joey Ryan, and he's staying around. They announced that he's signed with Impact, which I think. I imagine that's a very Don Callis signing, because he loves Joey Ryan, so...
Yeah, like, I think a lot of people were like, oh, so he turned down AEW for this, but I don't think it's such a big thing. It offers him all the flexibility, he can still do all the indie dates he wants to do, so it's the perfect in-between them. Yeah,
because he was like, I want to stay in independent wrestling, and Impact are kind of... basically becoming almost that conduit between a major promotion and the independents. It's kind of that they've found that little happy go-between each one.
They're like the super indie, aren't they?
Yeah, they've become basically the super indie, replacing the Ring of Honor pretty much as the super indie. Less said about them, the better. But like they're letting Joey Ryan be joined. Also, do you know, the two people, both Kylie Ray and Joey Ryan, very emoji-heavy intro videos.
It's almost like they made them on Josh's phone.
I wonder if they did. Did they make it on Josh's iMovie on his phone? There's a lot of emojis involved.
They probably played it off his phone. He connected the Bluetooth to the screen he did and just played it.
Someone did no, they got a photo at the All Glory. I don't want to dunk on this. It's just funny because when it rains, it pours sometimes when you're doing these shows. Someone said that they tried to play Kylie Ray's video at All Glory and just a big thing came up saying, the file is corrupted. We cannot play this video. I'm like... generally, someone will be banging their head off a brick
anywhere at any time to anyone, though. Let's be fair.
Yeah, well, the thing is, I remember it's on Demand Progress when they were playing the entry videos for Natural Progression, and as OGMO came out, you need to plug in your charger.
Exactly.
And the entire crowd chanted, "Battery is low. Battery is low." But they let Joey Ryan be Joey Ryan, as in your penis so strong, so powerful. It just makes me laugh that we've got a major, like a pay-per-view, and we've got Joey Ryan doing the dick spot that eliminates two people out of a battle royal.
Yeah, exactly. And he got two sleaze in the middle of two women as well.
Yes.
Who then battered him.
Swoggle was also there.
Yeah, that was... Again, I wasn't surprised. I wasn't shocked by it. I was like, it's Swoggle. Of course it's Swoggle.
And And also, I was going to say, actually, the one person who got a very, very big push in it was Jordan Grace.
Yeah, that was one I was very happy about. Also making mentions about her having eyes for the tag title. They drove that home, so that hopefully something comes from that, or else they've wasted the little push they've done into it. Yeah,
I'm intrigued because with another thing that happened, there is now a gap for maybe those certain two to go for the tag belts down the line, but we'll have to wait and see. Obviously, we mentioned Eddie and Mahabali Shira were the last two. This confused me as a finish, or I didn't confuse me. It was like something that was obvious, but I thought they wouldn't go for the obvious. But then again, they went for the obvious here, and then we go for the rest of the night, and they didn't go for the obvious, but it kind of makes sense once you put the pieces together. It's just, what I will say, this pay-per-view was good, but there was I feel like a bunch of the results were, everyone knows we're going this way, so we're going to go the opposite way and take the road less travelled.
Yeah, it's like they seem one of the matches, the way they ended was brilliant. But again, obviously we'll get onto that. But yeah, I kind of get everybody's like, oh, they're going this way, and then nope, just because you're so certain we've done that. Yeah, just because everybody was so certain they were going to do that, they just changed it.
Taya Valkyrie over Tenille Dashwood to retain the Knockouts title. This again was a decent match, and we spoke about it on the preview about how we felt that Tenille wasn't exactly ready for this, and I think they made the right call, holding off on Tenille Dashwood.
Yeah, I didn't think at any point Tenille really looked like she was going to win the match, though, to be honest. Yeah,
it was... I think it was good. I don't think it didn't really get out of second gear for me.
Yeah, maybe they were a bit short. They left them a bit short on time, and they had so much to get in that it just didn't allow them to have... not necessarily a better match, but tell a bit more story to try and pad the whole thing out. But also, lol, women's match on second.
Somewhere Glenn Johnson, former Liverpool defender Glenn Johnson's going, good. From now on, I'm calling that member of the Progress Creative Glenn Johnson at all times. It just felt that. I feel like it's weird with Tenille Dashwood. It's like, she needs to be one extreme or the other. She needs to be like a really vindictive heel, or she needs to be a really goofy face. When she's this middle ground, she just leaves me completely cold.
Yeah, it's difficult to get invested in someone that's not giving you anything to get invested in, almost.
Yeah, exactly. So Tenille had the match on with the spotlight, but then Johnny Bravo pulled Taya underneath the ropes, and then that distraction led to Road to Valhalla for the win. We are going to jump back to a point you made earlier. Perhaps they're passing over Tenille because they've got a new smilier alternative now to face Taya.
It may appear so. They may have sort of looked in the back and gone, Kylie Ray, I choose you, and threw a Pokeball at the same time.
They've just gone, Tenille. They've literally, what they've done is they've found a new Pokemon and they've stuck Tenille in Professor Oak's computer at the Pokemon Center.
One thing I do have to say about this match, and it did make me laugh on comms right at the start, is the names of the fake dog.
Oh, that was brilliant. Don straight away, straight in, just going, they called it Hennigan.
And then Johnny Bravo was like, no, it's Mundo. I was like,
that's great. That was very funny.
Me think are they burying him on the way out? So I was like, maybe the title is going to change here. So that was actually kind of smart.
Yeah, I feel like that was just... I feel Johnny left on good... he didn't exactly leave on the worst terms. And if he left on bad terms, I highly doubt Taya would still be there.
No. I'm pretty sure he didn't leave on bad terms. He's never really struck me as that sort of person. In
the immortal words of an awful man, it was just banter.
Something like that.
Then we went to the tag team titles as the North over Swan and Mac and Rhino, and I wrote down DVD. I don't know what.
Devious Van Dam.
That's why. Dastardly Van Dam. Rob Van Bastard. That's his new.
That's his Dutch equivalent.
Evil twin with a moustache and in a hot air balloon. Nah. So Rob Van Dam heel turn.
I feel like it could give him give more sort of meat to him, so to speak, because like
Yeah.
just been really like he's just been there since he's returned. Like that's how it's felt like to me, because like, oh, the 6-man sort of thing that they did straight off after he came in was like, oh, brilliant, this is to put the ECW guys over, and then he didn't really do anything, and then like they seemed to throw Rhino and RVD together to put them in this match. I'm intrigued to see where he goes now. Is it a program with Rhino and then on to something else, or does he just go straight on to something else?
I feel like it's going to be a program of Rhino, and also I think I know what they're going to do with him, because remember we joked about...
Surely it's got to be like the Legends division, because that's the only thing they got to make a comeback now.
I was going to say, we joked about when Rob Van Dam turned up with his girlfriend Katie Forbes at the wedding, and he looked like midlife crisis Van Dam.
Yeah.
I feel like that's legitimately the character they might go with. They've signed Katie to a contract now, apparently, so if they brought him in and Van Dam goes full, like, I'm a legend, I'm like one of the biggest stars ever, and look at my hot girlfriend, I'm the shit, and basically Rhino's like, you're not real ECW anymore, man. Like, there's legs on this. I really liked it. And also, I like the fact that he didn't just... He cemented the heel turn, not just by hitting Rhino, he then kicked Swan and Willie Mack in the face to ensure that the North won.
He kicked all the good guys and not the bad guys.
Yeah. And the North take advantage, hits their finish, which made sense, because we both said that there was no real point for either any of the other two teams to win the belts.
No.
The North are the best team in the company right now. Hopefully they can... I do hope they do something with Jordan Grace and they kind of make a... Cause there's not really a viable... Like, Rhino and RVD were a good quick fix. Swan and Mac are decent, but I'd rather have them in the X Division. Rather than the X Division. So they need some new teams. Like the team...
A team I would like to put together would be Falabar and TJP.
Yeah, I would like that as a tag team.
Chemistry.
It's like, hopefully they bring some. Hope they bring some other people in, because like if you look at it, it's like the North, Reno Scum. You've got Reno Scum. You've got the Desi Hit Squad. The Deaners would have been a decent thing, but they kind of really have let them stick in the lower card rather than build them up, because we've seen them and they're not bad. They've just been stuck in hell with the fucking Desi Hit Squad. So.
Being stuck anywhere is like being in hell with the Desi
Hit Squad. This is true. They have one bright spark in Mahabali Shira. I will always love Mahabali Shira. I can never speak ill of him.
I going back to something. When I was watching the end of the gauntlet match at the start, all I could think of was Vince McMahon seeing like the final three. And then going, oh my God, look at those two big guys. Somebody shine them. And then somebody goes, no, you fired them both in the last year.
Look at that Fulton. Look at that Mahab. Look at all this beef. And he's like, sir, you're... No, someone fire all the cruiserweights. This podcast, and indeed all TWM podcasts, are brought to you by SquaredCircleBox.com, the only place for your monthly wrestling box needs. With things from superstars from WWE, AEW, New Japan Pro Wrestling, Impact Wrestling, British Wrestling, Independent Wrestling, and loads more, it is the only place that matters if you want to get the best wrestling swag for a low, low price. That low, low price is just £25, people. What a bargain! And you can get snapbacks, t-shirts, magazines, DVDs, trinkets, whatchamacallit, doodads, you name it, they have it each and every month. And just because you listen to TWM, you sexy, sexy people, you get 10% off your first order. All you got to do is use the code TWM News in the checkout. Just use the code TWM News in the checkout for 10% off your first order at SquaredCircleBox.com.
Why not spread? I said, why not spread the gospel of the TWM squad with some of our lovely merch over at Teespring? We have t-shirts for all shapes and sizes, hoodies, sweatshirts, mugs, stickers, and loads more. Also, just for listening to this podcast, you can get 10% off your order. I said using the code podcast. That's podcast. Once again, podcast. Podcast in the checkout for 10% off at teespring.com/stores/TWM-wrestling-merch. That's right. Praise. Testify.
Let's talk about beef. Michael Elgin over Marufuji. This was brilliant. This was really good.
Enjoyed it, but for like admin side of things, or why did they get to the point where they just called him Marufuji?
I wonder if they've tried, because is it? I've wrote down Naomichi Marufuji, but I don't think that's right now in hindsight. I feel like they just.
Sure, it is right.
Maybe they just went for Marufuji because it's easier to say. Maybe it's easier to get over on commentary.
Yeah, maybe.
They used to call when they had Tanahashi in TNA. They literally called him just Tanahashi. He didn't have the last name. And when No Limit, when I forget that, who was No Limit? It was Naito and who was the other guy? It was someone important, wasn't it? Naito and someone was the team of No Limit that was in TNA for a minute. I can't remember who it was, but they just called him Naito. It didn't give him the full name. But I thought this was brilliant. They went balls to wall, like strong style. Marufuji bringing out all the stops, like the slice bread off the apron was really, really cool. I've never seen him do the hook kick where he kicked him through the legs.
Yeah, that was really nice.
That was a really nice bit. And then basically they did the classic New Japan, or Japanese style, I'm going to say New Japan style, Japanese style of just repeatedly
strong style.
Buckle bomb, kick out, Elgin bomb, kick out, and then eventually Burning Hammer for the win.
Well, you got to go the full palette, haven't you?
Also, did you clock Elgin's gear? It was very Okada-ish, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I feel like that was on purpose. Yeah, I feel like I thought it was more of a callback because he was around at that time. You know when New Japan were rumours to be buying Noah and they were teasing the Okada versus Marufuji match down the line, and then obviously Noah ended up getting bought by another company, so it didn't happen. I wonder if that was a little callback to that, being like, well, you've not faced that guy from Japan, but you faced someone that was in Japan once.
Maybe he's highlighting the Access Wars.
It's the one channel wars between Impact, New Japan, and WOW superstars, which I'm really annoyed you still can't get over here. Superheroes or superstars. Then we get to the X Division ladder match, which was great and had a tremendous swerve at the end, which I really liked.
They not only was the swerve itself like fantastic, but they filmed it perfectly as well. Yeah,
it was brilliant.
That's like the other thing, because you can do so much. You can tell the best story, but if people see it coming, like literally, then it loses all its impact. Again, no pun intended. But like this was just spot on. I
feel like I need to mention this, by the way. I am recording this, and my dog is asleep across the room and is an incredibly loud snorer. So if you hear noise in the background, hopefully it would have been edited out. But if you hear slight barking or sneezing, it's my dog dreaming about dog things.
And not me falling asleep.
Yeah, it's not you falling asleep in the background. I would argue they almost did this as a double swerve, because like I'll get to it at the end, but I thought it was going one way, went back to the way I thought it was, then went another direction. There were some great spots in this. Daga hitting the Destroyer over the top through a ladder, which looked nasty because the ladder didn't really... It bent and then bounced back up, so they just both tumbled to the floor. I hope AC Romero... I know he's signed a contract. I'm hoping he's sticking around because he had a really good showing. And then, good lord, for a man of that size to take that bump off the ladder...
Yeah, but like even the other side of it, like he was hilarious in how he like went to climb up the ladder first of all and went... No, I'm going to go get the other ladder. I'm going to spread my weight across the two ladders.
Clever boy.
Very smart.
But yeah, no, like I watched that. Normally when I see those bumps, I'm like, it's like they float down. When I saw him go, I'm like, this could go several shades of wrong. But he nailed it.
The thing that made me worry about it was as he's going off, he's gone to put his foot onto the top rope to sort of like, so he can judge his fall.
Yeah.
And just didn't make it. So he could have gone really bad.
What I noticed with that is when he came off, I did notice that he kind of his foot slipped off the rope, and what was kind of clever, but could have gone badly, is that he decided to basically just lean into the jump rather than fall.
Yeah.
So he leant into it to basically go, well, if worst case scenario, he's like, the best worst case scenario here is that I lean into it and land on my shoulder. The worst case scenario is I lean too much and I land on the guardrail. So, but he did all right. It looked sick as well. And also, like, I've not seen anyone complain about it, but everyone's like, how does Tessa push that giant guy off a ladder? Well, if you rock it, it's going to start moving. Which it makes sense. It's science. Tessa nearly wins, but then OVE interfere, and I was like, oh, OVE interfere, Jake's going to get the belt, Jake's going to retain. Oh, that's a bit of a damp squib. But she sees them off. And then Chris up there, here we go. Now now the shenanigans are going to pay off and Jake's going to retain the belt. Nope, he yeets for two. I'm like, oh my God, Tessa's going to win. And then Ace Austin from literally nowhere. And they film it to the point where Tessa's grabbing the belt and then Ace just jumps into camera shot.
It was as good as it was the Osprey Ibushi one from last year. Levels of amazing.
Yeah, because he comes in. What they do is he comes in. It's a really close up shot of Tessa with a belt. All you see is Ace's head, and then they cut back to a wider shot, so you see Ace just twatter with the cane, and she goes down, and then Ace wins the belt, which is I was like. The emotion of everything, I was like, oh, Jake's going to win. Oh, Tessa's going to win. Jake's going to win again. Tessa's going to win. Brilliant. Ace won the belt. I'm completely okay with that. I do believe
it was almost like that, you bastard, but it was like, but you glorious bastard.
Yeah, I feel that on the preview we said like there's an outside chance that Ace Austin might win the belt, but even I was like, I feel like it's written that Tessa's winning the belt and going a different way, but they've gone a completely different route with this. I don't know where they're going with it, but they've gone a different route with it. But for me, this now looks like, well, obviously Eddie won the cup, which means he's got a title shot down the line. Ace Austin's the X Division champion. It makes sense where they're going to go with this.
Yeah, I guess so.
Then we get to Moose and Ken Shamrock. I feel like, I don't know, like the video package made me really intrigued in this. I've been really interested in this. In the end, this wasn't that great. It probably was the weakest match on the show.
Yeah, no, I agree definitely on that. It was alright, but it was kind of always that letdown thing I thought it was going to be. Yeah,
it wasn't bad. There was nothing on the show that was bad. This was just, it was there. I felt like they could have done a bit more with it. I don't really know who to kind of put the weight on, of kind of the weight of like, well, this should have been better because another. But yeah, just did fall a little bit flat. That was all for me.
Let's all blame Frank Trigg.
Considering Frank Trigg, remember, MMA fighter, like UFC Hall of Famer, I think you said.
Frank Trigg's not a Hall of Famer.
Oh, well, I swear we talked about UFC Hall of Famer and you said he was, we don't talk about
Shamrock
it.
is.
Shamrock is, of course. But, Trigg running in, meant to be a UFC fighter, running in very, very gingerly, like very, very like dad running, like dad in his slippers trying to run to the car, gets punched once and just falls down like an old man taking a fall. And I'm like, you're meant to be like an MMA guy that's trained Moose to fight Ken Shamrock, and good lord, it's just, generally he's just the shits. There was an exposed turnbuckle that the crowd booed. I didn't clock it. I imagine he didn't actually hit the turnbuckle. He kind of might have just grazed it.
Yeah.
And then the spear for the win for Moose. I felt Moose was going to win this because it puts Moose over massively. Maybe with what happened in the main event, that's where they go going forward. But we'll see. Also, they did announce the next pay-per-view. Well, vaguely announced it. They said it's happening in January. We're not sure where, and we're not sure what day, but it's happening in January. And they've
because they tried to book like the first weekend in January and went, fuck, can't do that. New Japan doing that day. Fuck, can't do that day.
Yeah,
fuck, can't do.
Don had it.
Well,
Dan had it. Don had it in his head. That was like, we should book January 4th, and everyone's gone, no.
No, Don, you're already booked that day.
They've called it Hard to Kill, which I generally think is that's such a just like a fuck you name to everyone, isn't it?
It actually, they after the signing with Access sort of went through and everything. Well, when Anthem bought Access and everything, Don and Scott Demore did Jericho's podcast.
Yeah.
And Don actually joked about calling one of their pay-per-views Hard to Kill.
So they actually did it as well.
Somehow. Yeah, just not being able to die, and they've just gone ahead and done it, so well played by them.
The mad bastards, they actually did it. Then we get to the main event. Again, was another sort of Brian Cage over Sami Callihan to retain the Impact title. I thought this was a good match. It was a really good brawl, really, really solid, like, plunder match, if you will, between the two.
I think it fitted the end of the feud as well, with it being that no DQ match.
Yeah, but it just felt like they'd built up so much for Sami to have him then lose. I know they want the kind of feel good story. Maybe at the end of this, maybe down the line, Callahan wins the belt on one of the Impacts. Maybe he wins it back on the first Impact on Access. I don't know, or wins it on the first Impact on Access.
That is another thing I've been thinking about. Like, how do they measure these things up? Because WWE recently had that problem of, well, we've got a pay-per-view show that comes after our big debut on Fox. Yeah. Fox. And then had Blood Money at the end of the month. So there's a lot of that they're trying to serve too many sort of masters in that. So, like, where are they trying to put these right things to? So there could be something big that does come on the debut show.
Because the Access show, is that live, or is it? Are they recording stuff and it's just airing on Tuesday?
I don't know, because I don't think it's this week. I think it's next week.
No, it's this week. I'm fairly certain it is this week.
I don't know why, because some of my mind said it's good.
Anyway, what you can look that up, and we'll talk about this match. So it was no disqualification. It started off with a lot of swearing, a lot of spitting, and a lot of hitting to open. I did love, by the way, that Don goes, Sami Callihan tell everyone to go and F themselves. Can we say that on pay-per-view? And Josh says no. 2 minutes later, Don immediately says the word shit.
Because of course he does.
And then Cage, who came out dressed as Wolverine with the Wolverine claws, gets his basically bites and busts Sami open immediately, and then gets his Wolverine claws and slashes open Sami's head. They exchange dives. Cage no sells a chair shot and then power bombs Callahan to the ring post. Callahan gets Brian Cage right in the dick, son, and pile drives him through a guardrail, which seemed like a bit of a weird spot to do, like 5 minutes in.
Yeah, it was a bit odd.
I saw that gif and I thought, oh, that must be near the end of the match. And then Callahan, they wrestle a little bit inside, and then Cage brings the knackered guardrail into the ring. Callahan ends up powerbombing Cage onto the knackered guardrail for a near fall. And then Callahan gets some tacks. He gets a pile... I think it was a pile driver onto the tacks?
Yeah, it was a pile driver.
And Cage gets a 1 count. He gets up, powerbomb, drill claw on the tacks for the win. Yeah, the end just fell a bit flat. It was a good match, but the ending felt a bit flat for me.
Yeah, but I think that's part of us being so... Because he didn't do anything special with it, unlike the ladder match. It was very much like, oh, so Sami's not winning then, I guess. I
was looking at that just purely because of the fact of, like, look at the matches Sami's had on the last few. You've had the one with Swan, you've had the two with Pentagon, and this one kind of like went... Well, this had a really, really good build-up, and maybe the build-up just couldn't match the contest. But Melissa Santos comes out to celebrate, and I was like, you shouldn't be here because you got pile-driven literally 2 weeks ago. You should not be acting like you're fine. That annoyed me a little bit.
Miraculous healing powers of the Mexican Chupacabra.
Are you implying that Melissa Santos is a Chupacabra?
No, I'm implying she's Mexican.
Oh, okay, fair enough. Can't really imply that. I think it's just a thing. Did you find when the Access show debuts?
Yes, so the TV tapings are this weekend, Friday and Saturday in Ontario, Canada. So the show tomorrow night is almost like a primer for Impact to start next week. So I think they record 2 episodes this weekend, because they've then got TV tapings on the 7th of November after that. Ah,
I see. So programming.
So it looks like they record in 2 weeks at a time instead of the regular, where they record more or less like a month at a time.
Well, that makes sense. I feel like that makes sense. The programming out, I've been saying that Impact's debut on Best of the Rest will be this week. It won't. It'll be next week. Because obviously it won't be on Friday this week, because it's only really an Impact primer, which which we don't really need to cover. Unless if you want to check it out if you can. Anyway, that kind of wraps up this review of Impact Wrestling Bound for Glory 2019. Mike, what's your overall thoughts and what grade would you give it?
I give it a solid B. To be honest, it was it peaked in the right places, I felt, and they didn't give us what we wanted. And weirdly, I kind of like that because I still feel like it's coming down the line, so I've still got that interest in it.
Yeah, and for me, I'm the same. I think B is a pretty solid. It was there were some great bits. Love the Marufuji Elgin match. Love the ladder match. The gauntlet was fun. I like the people they've brought in. They seem to be kind of building a nice little roster there. They're putting over the right people, like the Jordan Grace got put over, and Tessa Blanchard still looks like a megastar, even though she's kind of lost another kind of big money match. But they might be building that into the fact that Tessa can't win the big one. Which will be great. So hopefully they're going to build this up nicely. Maybe they start off the new year with Tessa winning the belt or something. We'll see. Or are they building to Slammiversary and Bound for Glory next year? We don't know. Some of the matches fell a bit flat. Moose and Shamrock ended up being a bit of a letdown. The finish to Callahan and Cage was a little bit meh. But other than that, it was enjoyable, and I feel like the right decisions were made. So I think a B is definitely it's worth a watch. If you've got a spare, it's like 2 hours 55 minutes. It's not exactly the longest pay-per-view in the world. So if you've got like a spare 2 hours 55 minutes and you've got a spare couple of bucks, I'd recommend going on to Fight TV and checking it out, because it's only going to get better from here, because Impact have got back on they're on the Access era. They're back on a big station. They've got a really, really good roster, and they seem to be firing, if not on all cylinders, on enough cylinders to get themselves going over the next weeks, months, and indeed years. That wraps up this TWM Talks. Thank you for everyone that's been getting involved. Big thank you to Impact Wrestling. They've been awesome, especially the Impact Wrestling UK guys. They've been really, really kind of just more than brilliant in letting us kind of profile and like kind of count down to Bound for Glory, and obviously talking to Brian Cage and Sammy Callahan. They've been brilliant. Thank you to them. Thank you to Fight TV, as always. They always hook us up and letting us watch Bound for Glory. You can go do that as well. Go check them out, obviously, at Fight, fight.tv and on the Fight app on Google and the Apple stores. And obviously go follow at Impact UK and follow Impact Wrestling to keep up with all your Impact goodness. I said Impact a lot there. One more time, Impact. Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all at TWM Wrestle. Check all of our stuff out. We've got loads of stuff going up all the time. We want everyone to get involved over on the Twitters. Subscribe to us on Google and Apple Android podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, TuneIn, Acast, Podbean, YouTube, all that good stuff. On TWM News this week, there will be a review of Bound for Glory, courtesy of Neville, Big Nev, and I'll be writing a 5 things we learned about Bound for Glory that will be out tonight. So therefore, I've put it on Audible. I'm going to sit down and write this. I'm not going to put it off. I swear. I'm going to write a 5 things we learned about Impact Wrestling's Bound for Glory, and you can go and check all of that out. And we're going to be kind of upping the levels on our coverage when it comes to Impact. Now they've moved over to Tuesday, so if you miss out or you can't watch the show, we'll be doing results, and hopefully, cheeky knock on wood, we might try and get some live tweeting of Impact either on a Tuesday night when it's out in America, or maybe even on the Friday when it comes out over here in the UK. I think, or I can't remember. I think they do show it live on the Fight Network, don't they, on Sky? So we'll see what happens.
It's live on. It's technically the first airing is in the is on 5 Star in the UK, and then I think Fight Now Castle like the week after.
I see. So yeah, we'll do it then as and when. We're going to try and do some live tweeting as and when we can for Impact, because we do love Impact. We want to do more with it. Anyway, this was TWM Talks. Next week's is another interview and it's going to be a good one. It's
Hogan.
It's not Hulk Hogan. Stop saying Hulk Hogan. We've been talking about a lot on the Indie Wrestling Show on Wednesdays. We're going to find out a little bit more as we talk to one of the guys behind the revamping and the revitalization of the National Wrestling Alliance, Dave Lagana. That'll be coming out next Monday. And I think the Monday after that is Crown Jewel. Blood Money pay-per-view, and we've got loads more interviews coming up over the coming weeks and months, so definitely go leave a little subscribey boy and leave us a rating and review, and check out all of the stuff to come down your podcast pipes as we round off 2019. This has been TWM Talks. Mike, social media?
I'm going to wrap a different sport today. My boy Josh Navidi can't play anymore in the World Cup, so go follow at JNavidi on Twitter.
I watched some of the rugby this week. It was a sport. I'm at Matty ID. We are at TWM Wrestle. Me and Mike will see you on Wednesday for the Indie Wrestling Show. And for TWM Talks, whoever's on it, I can't remember who hosts next week's show. It rotates at an alarming pace. They will see you next Monday.